My name is Noel Martinez. I'm your host, and I am so excited to have one of Palm Beach County's most dynamic nonprofit leaders here. I'm so proud of her, my dear friend, Christine Sylvain. She is the CEO and founder of Path to College. She's doing some amazing stuff in our community. She was also recently named the Palm Beach North Chamber Woman of the Year. Christine, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me, Noel. It's so great to be here.
So, Christine, you've got a really cool story. You've been all over the world. You grew up, you spent some time in Europe. So tell me a little bit about your background. Where are you from? Where you grew up? How you ended up here?
Wow, that is kind of a long story. I'll try to make it as short as possible. First and foremost, I'm the daughter of a Haitian immigrant and a Spitfire Irish Catholic New Yorker who met on Long Island, New York at a company they both worked at, fell in love, eloped to Haiti after 7 months of dating, and had a 46-year marriage of love and kids and success. So that's what you have to know about me first and foremost. I was born in New York. I grew up in Florida. So I always say I'm really a Florida girl, but, Yankee heart. And I moved a lot, though. My dad was in tech. He was an engineer, and he was always chasing the next shift in tech. And so I lived in Tampa. I lived in Orlando. We moved to West Palm Beach when I was 15. And so I do consider this home. But after some time, I graduated from high school, and high school was rough, and we can get into that. But I ended up going to FAU Honors College in Jupiter, took a year, went and lived in Germany as part of that, and got a minor in German, came back, graduated with my bachelor's, moved to New York City to cut my teeth in my early 20s, and then did NYU master's program. Came back here, and I've started a family and got into education, fell into education, and then started a nonprofit. And here I am.
You've got an amazing family. I want to talk about them, but let's touch on your high school. You said high school was a little rough. Why was it rough?
Yeah. So, I have to say I really had a privileged upbringing. My dad was an immigrant. He was so smart, brilliant guy, came here at 18 with nothing in his pocket, total American dream story, multiple jobs, working nights. He worked his way up to be a principal engineer in the defense industry and did contracts for the US government. And when I was 15, a lot of those contracts dried up. The Gulf War was over and the industry shifted and his skills became outdated. So as he was trying to pivot, it took him 5 years to kind of regain his sense of self, his career path, and he retrained himself and developed again a different side of engineering. But it took him time. So when I was 15, overnight, I went from privileged kid and great schools to we're selling the house, we're in a small apartment, you're going to work. Christmas looks different this year, and it's going to look different for a number of years. And so I experienced this shift in culture in my home where, that security where, ideally you're growing up and you have no clue about the stress of your parents, but that blanket was pulled back pretty hardcore at 15. And we ended up moving 4 times in 3 years, just looking for jobs. We did a stint in Maryland, came back, and it was hard. It was hard to be, a teenager in 4 different high schools over 3 years, always the new girl. And I ended up skipping 11th grade, graduating early, and landed at the Honors College at FAU. But I almost didn't go to college because of that time period. It just was tough. But when I did, it put me back straight, and it was a great experience.
So you spent some time here in Jupiter at the FAU's Honors College,
yes.
But you also went and pursued to get your master's in journalism in New York, right? New York
yes.
University. Mm-hmm. What was that experience like?
It was amazing. New York is a great place for any young person to go, cut your teeth, learn how to walk fast, talk fast, think fast with the best of the best. Such a cultural epicenter. I just absolutely loved it. I worked in Michelin-rated restaurants and went to free shows and just had a really good time. And then I went back and got my master's at NYU. And during that time, I actually got pregnant. And so doubled up on my credits in my program and came back home shortly after I had my first child.
Let's talk about your first child. Let's talk about your family. You've got such a gorgeous family.
Thank you.
Tell me about them. Tell me about the kids.
Sure. I have 2 kids, 16 and 12. My daughter is a junior and preparing now for college. She's actually performing tonight in a big concert known locally called Prism, which is a Dreyfus School of the Arts concert.
Big deal.
So proud of her. You have to audition to get into that.
Yeah.
And she's an amazing pianist, amazing, like prodigy style. And so I had her when I was 24, and she has been one of the greatest gifts I've ever received. She put me into a level of focus that I didn't know was possible, and made me want to live my life as an example to her. And then I had my second child 4 years later, and his name is Dorian, and he is one of the smartest, most intuitively intelligent people I've ever met, and also my more challenging child, as you can imagine. So I spend a lot of time with them. We're big soccer fans, big music fans, and so we do a lot of camping.
Yeah, I was going to say, you guys do camping. You were just camping this weekend. I saw it on social media.
I have a camper. A lot of people are surprised when they find out that I'm like, nope, I hitch up a camper to my SUV and I take it all over. I just find that it's the best way to really spend quality time as a family, around a campfire, doing trails. And there are amazing, amazing natural areas in Florida and beyond. I mean, we're really lucky to have the environmental access and opportunities that we do.
Yeah, we actually are taking a little over the Christmas holiday break. We're going to do a little camping trip with the family, a couple of families of ours.
Good. I can't call it camping. It's really glamping. We actually bring a portable dishwasher at this point.
What? It's cheating.
I know, but you know what? Once you do enough of it, you just get into this like culture where you just keep optimizing your experience, and we do a lot of it. And so I love to cook while we're camping. And I cook for my kids, my fiance's kids. There's often a ton of us. And it's great when you have a little mini dishwasher to put everything in. And then you go for a walk, check out the stars.
You come back and it's all done.
Yeah, exactly.
So Path to College, amazing organization, doing some great stuff. You are the founder. So let's talk about that. Where did that idea come from?
So I graduated from my master's program. I became a producer of documentaries, loved that work, telling stories of people and culture and just society. I love that work. After a couple of years of doing that, my daughter was a toddler and I just was very burnt out. I was missing a lot from that stage of life. I was working in Miami, and my mom said, kind of just flippantly, why don't you become a teacher for a couple of years? You can always go back to this career path, but you'll never get this time back with your daughter. You're going to miss it. And so I was like, oh, okay, I'm sick of like this project-based existence. Sure, I'll throw my resume out there. I never wanted to be a teacher. And I got a call the same day and an interview the next day. And 25 minutes later, I was hired. So it's very easy to become a teacher, especially if you have, higher level degrees. And I fell into teaching in Riviera Beach. And it was one of those, the most amazing, eye-opening, inspiring, hard experiences of my life. My kids there, they were driven, talented, ambitious, full of hope, full of desire for success. And year after year, I just found that those who probably should go to college and are the best fit for college just wouldn't even apply. And it was very, very frustrating. So I just became that teacher who like cared a lot about the kids and really like loved them truly, like as people outside of the classroom, and would try to stay after school and help with essays and help with advising, and just the need was endless. And it was just kind of demoralizing too, because you see these kids and if you just go to college, like you're going to be fine. But so many of them went home to, the lights aren't on, parents aren't home. There's a lot going on in the neighborhood that's not good. And so it was overwhelmingly disheartening. Fast forward a bit, when my son was born, I got a job where I could work with more flexible hours, working with very, very high income kids. And so I taught English, but I also started doing SAT prep and college advising. So I'm a bit of a nerd. Okay. And I got really good at like the test prep stuff. and like helped kids increase their scores 200, 300 points. And if you can get those scores up, you're getting a scholarship. And so kids, I'm helping them. They're from wealthy backgrounds. They're going to college. They're getting scholarships. They're solidifying their paths in this like earning potential pathway. And it's what we all want for our kids. And I just couldn't forget those kids in Riviera. Right. And I knew from my experiences as a high school student, well, I barely went to college. It's surprising because I was eligible for the Bright Future Scholarship, full ride, and I barely went. It's just when you don't have a home environment that feels stable and secure, it's hard to dream. It takes a lot of optimism to launch. It takes a lot of faith to say, I'm going to go to this college. How much is this costing? Oh my God, I'm going to do it. I'm going to get a scholarship and I'm going to go. And you need people who push, I believe that kids need people who are going to push them at that stage. It's a really pivotal moment. And I was lucky that my brother was the one who had actually dropped out of high school. And we can talk about him. He's a huge inspiration to me. But at that time, he had dropped out and pulled me aside and he was like, Christine, you absolutely have to go to college. Like, not you. You got to go. Once you're out, it's so hard to get back in. Like, you got to go. And that was enough to get me to apply. And I applied to one school, which is typical of a low-income student. And so knowing that history in myself and knowing what college did for me, I studied abroad. I wrote this thesis. I traveled to Germany, to the UK. I was surrounded by people who were curious and ambitious. And, it's just all the things you want college to be. And it was fun, right? All that good stuff. I knew that. And I just was like, I just got a fire in my belly. I don't know how else to describe it. It's one of those fate things. And I was like, I'm going to do this thing. I think I can create a program that would really help provide everything that schools can't do for these kids after school. And so in 2017, we started on my dining room table and like, it works, Noelle, it works. Year after year, these kids are going. And our flagship program has a niche where we really do selective universities whose degrees pay more. So it's all about earning potential. It's economic development. And we've gotten 60% of our graduates into top tier universities debt-free. Stanford, Northwestern, Cornell, Duke. It's wild. So we just keep doing it. And there's more to come.
Tell me more. Tell me about some of the other programs. So
Sure.
You've got many programs.
Yeah.
That's one of the successful programs that you've got going. Tell me about the other programs.
So we also do outreach in the community programs. So we do college advising, we do tutoring, we do scholarship and FAFSA advising. We reach another 1,500 students in the community through many different partnerships. We also run an internship program where we match anywhere between 15 and 30 students with our corporate partners and friends. And is that it? There's another one. Oh, our mentoring program. So we partner with a lot of different businesses to recruit mentors. And so we train and support professionals on how to be better mentors, how to guide students. It's one of these quintessential questions that parents and guardians have. And I think we figured out the right way.
How do you find mentors for that program? Where do you get them from?
It's really about the network. So Palm Beach Chamber North is a place that we go, that we show up to try to build relationships and try to find people with value alignment who care about education, who understand that it's the long-term solution to a lot of the difficulties that we see in the world, the hunger, the housing crises. If we could just get education right, we wouldn't have to worry about the rest. And there's people that really believe it and really enjoy being around young people. It's kind of I say it's a calling, and we find those people and we recruit them and they stay with us for 3 years.
All right. So let's talk about that program, right? The 3-year fellow. What does this 3-year fellowship look like?
So we recruit students in Title I schools in low income communities in 10th grade. And basically the program is a success accelerator. Our goal is to develop candidates that great schools want to give full rides to. So it's really about leadership development. It's about learning who you are and what you have to give to the world. It's about building a network around you that's going to support you long-term. And it starts in 10th grade. We look for students with growth mindset, students who want to do good and go far, and we screen for it. So it's not so much about your grades. It's about how do you want to improve the world? Are you willing to try and fail and get up again? Are you willing to ask for help, work with others? That is really what we look for. And then number one, if we ask a student, do you have anybody to help you? And they say no, they move up on our list.
So tell me a little bit more about that process, right? So, I mean, you've got to find these kids. Where do you find them?
We have a partnership with the school district. We have an MOU.
So they recommend students to you?
Well, it's different at every school.
Okay.
So every high school runs it a little bit differently. Some of them, they pull students that they think would be a great fit, who they know have challenges, but also have potential, and we'll do an assembly. And that really probably is the best way. And then sometimes we go into individual classrooms and we just do a very quick 5-minute presentation. I, as someone who was in the classroom, who really considers myself an expert on education in many ways, I try not to take kids out of instructional time. Just think it's so important. And there's so many things pulling at them. Like, they have to be in the classroom to learn. So we try not to do that. So sometimes we'll go in, it's 5-minute tops. We leave information around. A lot of our teachers will recommend students to us now that they know our track record. So, sometimes we table at lunch, but our biggest way is word of mouth. Other students, they see our kids, we get them custom-made suits, they're going on college tours, they're getting internships, they're doing public speeches, and other kids want in big time. They want in. And some of them go so far as to just show up. And we've had kids show up repeatedly that we've been like, okay, come on in. You want it that bad. Get in here. But if they can't, if we can't take them on, because that program is niche, it is sort of boutique, and we serve about 100 at any given point, we refer them out to our community programming. So that looks like a 4-part curriculum that covers everything from where to start, how to look for college, how to compare colleges, net cost to tuition to the makeup of the school, the retention rate, stuff that students don't think about, to, your application. What do you need to make it stand out? This changes all the time. And then entrance exam tips. So a big part of getting into college is passing that SAT or that ACT, and it changes all the time as well. Mm-hmm. And that's probably one of the biggest values that we give to the community, is just free SAT prep. We do it online every week, and we go into different organizations and do it as well. And then the last part is scholarship and FAFSA. So all of this is super complicated, changes all the time. There's a lot of emotions involved in planning for the future in the financial side. Mm-hmm. And what we have found is that the number one deciding factor for a low-income student to decide to go on to any type of post-secondary learning is finances. It's critically important.
All right. So tell me, what part of our county are these kids coming from?
So what we did in the very beginning was use the Children's Services Council's zip code report. So they did a countywide assessment of different quality of life indicators for students across our county. So that for us, we look at early reading scores, kindergarten readiness, third grade reading scores, and graduation rates. And if all of those areas in a zip code are in the red, we know that the path to college is in danger for those students. So we go in there, we know it's probably going to be a low income environment with very few resources. And that's how we choose who qualifies and who doesn't.
You've mentioned high achieving, low income students. Define high achieving for me.
Sure. Yeah. So people get this wrong a lot about me. When you say high achieving, people think, oh, you're just getting the kids who get straight A's. And I will tell you, no, we don't just take kids who have straight A's. High achieving for us is often the type of achievement that doesn't show up on a transcript. Our kids are trilingual often. You can't, put that on a score report. They're often family caregivers. They're often legal and medical translators. They're working, they're taking care of their siblings. And that's a type of achievement, a type of resilience that our kids display at such a young age that actually makes them very likely to be successful if they could just have their barriers removed. So we just accepted a student who takes care of his grandfather, I think it is, and it's one of these students who otherwise would go overlooked. So I always say they're high achieving in a way that doesn't show up on a transcript, but they're often overlooked and underestimated. Because when a student has a lot of toxic stress at home, like they have adult responsibilities, they're not sure about the food or housing situation, parents might not be home, they're often saddled with toxic overwhelm and stress. And that is correlated with a lack of achievement. That's correlated with a lack of confidence and willingness to take on responsibility or willingness to go after different opportunities. And that's why you see low-income students not even applying to college. It's not so much about their ability to go, it's about all the other stuff.
So what does success look like for you guys? Like, so, what metrics are you tracking that are saying, gosh, you know what? We are knocking it out of the park. We really are doing a great job.
Wow. We track so much. We're like a little social science institution. So we do a year-over-year college and career readiness assessment. And so it shows that basically how much knowledge a student gains and confidence a student gains in the application process. We track SAT scores, and we have a 159-point average increase for our students.
That's amazing.
It is amazing. A lot of them, again, English is not their first language, and they're in education pipelines where they're often missing certain core concepts. And so we do a lot of tutoring to remediate that. We track how many sessions they meet with their mentor, how many applications they put forth, their enrollment, and how many scholarships. So many things. But the thing that really shows me that we're succeeding, it's really in the individual stories. So just this week, I had a former graduate text me and say, hey, I'm in town. I'd love to come do lunch. And so I sat with him and did lunch with him. And I remember interviewing this kid. It was in the very beginning of our program. And he barely looked up during the interview. He was so shy and he was so nervous and just hadn't been coached to look someone in the eye during an interview. And very quickly into our program, something clicked. And I could almost see it in his eyes where he just was like, oh no. I'm going for it. I'm going for everything. And he showed up every single time. We got him an internship at an architecture firm. We helped him increase his SAT score. We helped him go on a college tour. And then we helped him apply to college. He got into Notre Dame on a full ride.
That's amazing.
And he also became class president. He just went for it. And he graduated from Notre Dame in June and he got a job at Apple. So now he's making, entry-level salary at Apple, and I encourage you to Google it. And so this is a kid that survived the earthquake in Haiti, came here without a mom, took care of his siblings, got them breakfast every morning while his dad went to work at 3 a.m. That was in a school pipeline that was not primed to create a Notre Dame candidate. I'll say it that way. And here he is working at Apple. He's paying for his younger siblings' soccer teams, and he's saving money to buy his parents a home. That's how you stop the poverty cycle, one kid at a time.
That's an amazing story. Yeah. I'm glad you told us that story. Let's talk about some of the systemic barriers that some of these students are facing, right? From your experience, right? Because you're an expert in education and you've been on both sides of this thing now, right? What are some of the biggest barriers low-income, high-potential students face when it comes to college access?
It is so many things. Number one, a college-going culture. Our students, they're often in communities where there's an epidemic of low expectations. I just have to say it, where people, because of all the community challenges, the lack of resources, the lack of village support, the village is suffering, often the quick win is just to say, oh, it's okay. College is not for everyone. Don't worry about it. And so they're up against that. People just giving them an easy out early on. Like, don't even, you can do well outside. And there are people who do well. So don't get me wrong. But in the aggregate, these kids do much better if they get that 4-year degree and if they can get it debt-free. And so, when you see these hotbeds of student success, having that achievement gap, there's a lot of things working. And so first and foremost, the college going culture is missing. They haven't seen their parents or their aunties and uncles going to college. It's really cultural. 2 is just the know-how. when you start looking at these applications and these forms and this FAFSA, it's overwhelming. I know you have kids. I'm sure you've seen it. It's like, even for me, I have a 11th grader now, and I'm like, oh my God. like on some level, the students in my program are getting more support than my own kid is, because we can do it for them in a way that's strategic. But me as a parent, like any other parent, it's me and my kid.
It's a little harder.
It's hard, right? And so I'm really excited to open our Catapult Center where we'll be able to help families of all kinds. And we can get to that later.
Yes, we got to talk about that.
The systemic issues, it's those two things. Just how am I going to pay for it? No one's telling me to go. And then the school pipelines. We could go deep. Our schools are really struggling. We have incredible, courageous leadership, especially in Palm Beach County. We have amazing leaders. And then we also have schools that are just overwhelmed with the number of things they have to do. And college access is not a, state tracked priority. Schools are not evaluated based on how many kids they get into college, even a 2-year, 4-year, anything. There's no real tracking around that. So the priority becomes graduation, which is great. We want kids to graduate, and we have very high graduation rates in our county, but we've dug in a little bit, and we worked with our partners at the Palm Beach County Library System to do some research. And we found at one of our top pilot program schools, their graduation rate is over 90%, but their, college going enrollment rate is only 32%.
Wow. For
me, that's a huge gap in talent that the community misses out on. And what happens to those kids? There's a big question there. So I could go on and on, but I'll leave you with those 3 things.
Well, what about path to college? Like, what are some of the challenges that you guys are facing right now? Is it funding? Is it staffing? I know you're growing like crazy.
Certainly. So, we meet our students where they're at. So for each student, they all have challenges. So our team, they're absolute heroes, and they're willing to walk with a student through whatever challenge comes. Our team is in it with them, 10 p.m. at night on that final portal with them, encouraging them to hit submit. And our mentors too. Our mentors, when we recruit mentors, we tell them these kids are going to have challenges. This is not going to be a cakewalk. Prepare yourself. And we've seen mentors really struggle witnessing the struggles of our kids, the multiple evictions, the uncertainty about parental, job security, food insecurities. Students who smile at you, they have a brand new suit on and will sit down at our speed interview event and seem fine. You find out later you were showering by hose behind your apartment building because the water was off, stuff like that. And so our team really, really makes the difference. So those are those micro challenges. And then, as an organization like any other, we have challenges. We're growing. For me and my leadership now, it's really just recruitment and retention of exceptional talent, getting kids into selective schools, top 50 in the nation. It takes a certain touch. It's you can't just throw anybody at it. And so, when I think about growing and scaling capacity building, I've been really focused on the internal systems, on the curriculum, on the staff training, onboarding and offboarding, and just really making those processes work quickly and efficiently as best as possible so that we can grow, because we're only as good as our people.
So let's talk about mentors. That's really at the core of your model. It's really at the core of what you guys do. What makes a good mentor, and how do you support them, and how do you help them grow as a mentor?
So first of all, we've been told that our mentor training is life-changing, and I'm really proud of that.
Tell me about that. Tell me more about that.
It's an opportunity when you become a mentor with us to really find alignment with your values and who you want to be in the world. So we look for people who believe like we do that, these students from low income backgrounds, they have something that the world needs, that their achievement inspires growth beyond themselves. People who believe that education is the answer, the thing that's going to solve all the other problems, and who believe that service is necessary to live a full life. These beliefs are what we look for in a good mentor. And so our mentors can be anyone who we do try to find people with a college degree, even though I know there's exceptional people who didn't go to college and are super successful. And I will tell you, they are very special because they are outliers. And they're wonderful, but we do try to find mentors who can speak to the college experience with our students. And often, empty nesters do really well because they've just gotten someone off and now they have a lot more love to give. They're still young. The students really like, young professionals. Young professionals move around a lot though. So it's iffy, although some of our best mentors have been with us for 9 years and they're young and they're with us. And so during that training, we take them through the stages of building rapport and trust. So whether you're at your job in business, you're managing, you need to learn this, that being a good manager is not about trying to fix. It's not about solving the problem. It's about mirroring and soundboarding, asking open-ended questions and helping the person find their own solution. And we try to teach our mentors that. And it's funny because as the organization, as the team, I have an exceptional person who's leading this, Melissa Cubillos. I know you know her.
Yeah.
You become the mentor to the mentors, and we have mentors who become sort of impatient with the rapport building process. Well, why isn't the student listening to me and achieving the goals I set for them? And we go, well, hold up. What if those goals were the student's goals and you were supporting the student? What would that look like, right? Those are people that make great mentors, people who they don't necessarily need to feel like they don't need the attaboy. They're just there to care and to show up for the student. And there's a lot of data around this, around trauma-informed care, around mitigating ACE scores. So adverse childhood experiences, our kids have high ACE scores. Mentor, one caring, consistent adult mitigates that. And it's truly magical, like just what a positive connection, intergenerational connection can do. And our data shows, and we track this, that students who have consistent caring mentors, their risky behavior drops, their attendance goes up, their grades go up, their willingness to take on responsibility goes up, their confidence in themselves goes up, their outlook on the world goes up. It's magic. And so when I talk about how going to college requires optimism, you cannot create optimism in a vacuum. It is something that happens in connection with another human being. That feeling that you feel when you have a really good hang with a friend or you feel supported by someone, that is what we want every student to feel. And when you're in an environment that is overrun with extraordinary challenges and they are unnerving and heartbreaking and overwhelming, having that one consistent and caring person can truly change it all. It's so simple. It's like overly simple.
So let's talk about the future, right? The future is bright for you guys. What does Path to College look like in the next 5-10 years? Like, what's your vision for that?
Well, we're opening the Catapult Center.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
We haven't got into it. So what is it?
It is a one-stop college and career mentoring center for students across our county. It's going to be in Lake Worth Beach. We're very, very grateful to the Lake Worth Beach CRA who gave us this 5,000 square foot building. We're outfitting it. We're working with amazing community partners, funders to launch this center where we're going to expand our community programming and shoot for 3,000 students a year who will come in, get matched with a college coach, start with a career aptitude test, and then be piped into career pathways that line up with the business development boards driving industries. So industries we know are coming to this county that are growing, that have great wages, where we're not just piping kids into degrees that aren't going to be there in 10 years. That's our plan. And so it's going to be 10 sessions that each student gets depending on their career pathway. And we're going to do what we've always done, college advising, how to do the application, how to find a college, how to go through the process, like actually have someone sit with you, because that's really the difference maker, and how to fund it while doing the career exposure and the field trips and the internships that we've been doing for many years. So I'm so excited about that.
What about geographically? Do you see yourselves expanding outside of Palm Beach County?
Sure. So, but you have to be careful. We're definitely, a red hot organization that people want in different areas. I get calls, we need you in Tallahassee. We need you in Jacksonville. There's talent everywhere. And so we have a model that works. And so my goal as the leader here is to make sure we have sustainability. And so we have started from nothing, right? And this year we got our first $1 million pledge for an endowment. And if we can get an endowment that's really large, it will help us have that foundation to grow from. So we'll launch the Catapult Center. We will continuously improve. We'll assess. We'll learn lessons. That's our first goal, is to learn lessons. What do we need to do to tweak to make this run very efficiently? And then we'll expand. And I could see us having a few different site locations in Palm Beach County and then developing that, train the trainer model and expanding out.
So how do you, we talked about this earlier, you and I off air. If you're not growing, you're dying.
Yeah.
Right? You're busting at the seams.
Yeah.
How do you ensure that you maintain the quality of the programming that you're doing as you continue to grow?
It's my number one concern.
It's got to keep you up at night.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd be scared.
It's my number one concern. And it really comes down to right person, right role. So I used to run the program. I no longer run the program. I have.
How hard was that to let it go?
Well, it was necessary. So it's not that I'm not involved. I am. And, I still will review essays because it's something that fills my cup. It's something I'm good at and fills my cup. But I do it as a volunteer, not as part of my job. But, there are people who care, who understand this mission, who have a personal story that's connected with education and how it was life-changing, who have family stories where, that sacrifices were made. And there's something to that striver story of we're going to succeed in order to bring our communities forward. And that's why every student and every staff member is involved. And so for me, I have found that every year we're sort of leveling up and we're always running. It's like a marathon. And it's true. And I've heard it from a lot of other CEOs. If you're not growing, you're dying. And it just is. And it's hard. It's not easy. But there's also, for me, a lot of excitement. If you know me, you know that I'm secretly a jock or secretly an athlete.
You can't be a nerd and a jock at the same. Well, you can. I guess you can.
I think I'm definitely more of a nerd than anything else. But I grew up playing competitive soccer and travel soccer, and there's just a part of that experience of. I played soccer 18 hours a week at one point in my life, and I played it through college. I played it in New York City and I started playing with men in my 20s, and just that understanding of we're working as a team to win and a desire to win. I have a desire to win, a deep desire to win, whether it's with my family, developing a loving family at home, or with my team. And so that excitement that you have to have for the work, that's the only thing that fuels it. And yeah, it's exciting to think, okay, how are we going to crack this nut? How are we going to continue to grow this thing? But, we've talked offline. It is the thing that you think about obsessively. And I always joke that at night I lay down after a long day and it's like Queen's Gambit. And I'm just playing chess in my mind of people, places, follow-ups, ideas. My team will tell you I have too many ideas, but that's okay. That's why I'm here.
That's why you're here. So let's talk a little bit about leadership, a little bit about your mission and your values. How do you stay motivated on days that are just really tough?
I mean, some days you just got to go to bed. You just got to go to bed. Some days, the thing that really gets me is when people understand me or misunderstand me. Some days it's harder than it should be. A lot of people say, starting a nonprofit, that sounds so nice. And I want to shake them and say, this is harder than you would think it is. It's highly competitive. I feel like I'm running a race most days, but I'm also built for it. So motivation, I don't really struggle with motivation because I'm fully aligned in my purpose. I struggle with turning it off. And so that's why I go camping and I go to the beach every weekend and I have my little hobbies that I try to get to that allow my brain to kind of offload a little bit because I don't struggle with pushing.
We talked about success for the organization.
Mm-hmm.
What does success look like for you personally?
I live my life by 4 different values. I'm really clear on them. One, it's financial independence, just sustainability, just, yeah. 2, it's creative expression, doing things that make me feel alive because I'm using my gifts. 3, it's health and wellness. And then 4 is a connected and happy family. Those are the only things that matter to me. So everything that I do, I reference through those 4 priority values. So success is, my kids like me. They want to be around me. They're healthy, thriving. They may have challenges, but they have the support that they need. We're traveling, we're connected, we're eating good, and we're living purposeful lives.
For parents and students that are hearing about Path to College for the first time that are listening to this podcast, what kind of advice would you give them right now?
I think agency is the most important thing. It's at the center of everything we hold dear as Americans, our ability to make things happen in this country, independence and freedom and, just self-determination. These are values that I hold dear. And so if you want to help a child become successful, help them develop agency, help them find their purpose. And so in our program, the minute a student starts with us, we ask them to plan a community impact project that's aligned with what they most care about. We're all here to do something. We're all here to help others or build things. We have a purpose. And the sooner a kid can find that, and it's not what you want them to have. It's, as parents, we try to guide and we try to shape and we try to expose, which is what we should do. But as soon as you cross over to control, it's a wash.
Last question. What's one thing that you wish people knew about Path to College that you really think they don't understand and people just don't get it?
What do people not get?
Or maybe something that you feel is not getting enough attention that you guys are doing?
I think the thing that I often feel disappointed about is that education, mentorship, helping a student get to a table where they feel like they belong at a great school, where they feel capable of going after that scholarship is necessary groundwork for all the other things. So often people come in later and say, oh, there's this scholarship program or there's this thing. And I wish that people would pull back and go, how can I help students get to a point where they think that they belong in those rooms where those great things are happening? And the thing that I get disappointed about is that we often are just scrambling because there's hunger and there's these other issues. And I just wish that we could, as a society, really embrace education as the answer to all of those other issues.
How do people get more information on Path to College? How do they get involved?
pathtocollege.org is our website. And so there's a column for mentoring. There's a column for student supports. There's events. So the cool thing about running a nonprofit is that you get to build community around your mission. And feels like a big family of people who support. And so we have our community partners that we create programming with, and we have our mentors who are volunteers, and we have our donors who are really like thought partners and in it with us with their time and their dollars. So all of that can be found online, and in any of those ways, you can get involved and be extremely helpful.
Well, this was amazing. Anything we've forgotten? Anything that I haven't brought up that I forgot to ask?
Oh, we have a gala coming up.
Let's go.
We have a gala coming up at the Kravis on January 24th. It's called Shine and Dine, where we bring our students in and sit one at each table. Our tagline is "You Belong," and it is chaired by the Honorable Chelsea Reed and Mike Reed. So I hope that anyone who cares about this work joins us.
And you can get tickets for that event at your at your
website. pathtocollege.org/shine.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, this has been amazing. Thank you so much for all the work that you're doing. I was so excited to get you on the show. We finally made this happen, right? We've been trying to do this for a while. So I do have exciting news to share. Should we tell them about our new show coming out? Should I do it? Should you do it?
Yes,
So we've
do
got
it.
a new show. Christine is going to be joining the Palm Beach North podcast family. As a lot of you are aware, we have the Artie Gras podcast now that is hosted by our dear friend, Sarah LaPierre, an amazing local artist that is just part of the Palm Beach North Chamber family and has had a super successful show. We've got a new show coming called The Woman Effect, which is going to be hosted by the amazing Christine Sylvain. Are you excited or what?
I'm so excited.
Tell me more about the show. What do you expect?
I'm so excited to dip into my journalist roots and to bring women together who are building businesses, families, and legacies to pull the curtain back and learn more about what makes them tick. How are they managing their relationships, their marriages, their partnerships, kids, food, health, wellness, and leadership. So The Woman Effect, I hope you'll join us. It's coming out soon.
Yeah, we've been talking about this for a while, Christine, and it's finally happening. So excited. Stay tuned for more information on that. Thank you again, Christine, for being on the show. Thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure to like, subscribe, follow, tell all your friends about all the amazing things going on in Palm Beach North and Path to College. We'll see you guys next month. Thank you so much.